Okay, I've switched gears a little bit. I said I was going to do an applique, so I decided to do that right now. So what I did was I just traced what the bow looked like online, what they wear on their fuku. And so I just traced that off the computer because we don't have a printer, but you can print out an image too if that's easier, and then cut the image out and then use that as your template. And I had some of this scrap red fabric from a costume that I've been working on. So I've had a bunch of this lying around. And this is the perfect color of her bow because she wears a deep red bow with her purple. So, and then she has a little star in the middle, and I'll figure out how I'm going to do that. Oh, I keep holding it the wrong way. Alright, so I'm going to show you how we do that today. And I've done appliques before. Here's an example. The Evie bag I made. This was an applique. So you just cut out, like I said, you cut out the template, you cut out the fabric, and then you do want to sew around it just to kind of tack it on and make sure it doesn't fray. Additionally, I did do some paint work, just as shading in the eyes and whatever. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that yet, but this is what I use for, let's see here, Heat and Bond. I think there's like a store brand or whatever, like most sewing shops or even craft stores. I think Michael's might have this. Most craft stores, definitely sewing stores, will carry this. It might not be this brand, but it's iron-on adhesive. And I always use the light because it says that it's sewable. And so you can just sew around the perimeter of it and it guaranteed to stay on. I wouldn't trust the adhesive alone. I always sew around it. But I use a lot of this. I've made a lot of appliques for just different things. And so you just pull it out, and if I can pull it out here, it's just like a sheet of paper, kind of. And one side is a paper-ish side, and one side is a plastic filmy side that kind of has this like ridging or whatever. That is what bonds to the fabric. It's kind of like a glue or whatever. I think it's, I don't know, is it a thermoplastic? Either way, it's something that you use to, it says thermoweb, okay? So it's something that you use just to bond it onto your clothing or whatever. So I use a lot of this, and always keep your scraps, folks, because you don't know when you'll need the smallest bit of Heat and Bond. And it's fairly inexpensive, but if you use it all of the time like me, then you'll use every single bit of it. So I have a little scrap, oh Lord, scrap piece. Can't talk today. So that will fit perfect. No, it'll fit here. So what I like to do is, also the fabric I'm using doesn't have a right or wrong side, so you want to sew this with the right side facing up. Or you want to iron it, rather. So I like to pin it on here. to pin the template onto. Okay. So, then I have my non-sewing scissors. And you kind of want to cut around the perimeter. It doesn't have to be precise. You just want to make sure to kind of roughly cut around. Make sure I'm in frame here. See what I'm doing. And my iron is heating while I'm doing this. I think on the instructions it says how hot to have it. I think you can have it as hot as the fabric can get, but you don't want to, you only want to put the iron on it as soon as it bonds to it. Because essentially it just kind of melts onto the fabric and off of the little paper thing that it's attached to. But here's kind of the instructions. It says, yep, pre-wash, medium heat, no steam, adhesive on back. So 6 seconds. It says press and hold iron 6 seconds. I normally do probably a little bit more than that. I just do however long I feel it bonds onto it, because you will see it slowly come off the paper. So, there we go. And then I like to have my ads or whatever that I don't need anymore. And then you want to place it face down. So I'm going to take off the pins. You want to make sure that it doesn't slide around though, because you want it all to get covered. Okay, so this side is not getting covered. There. Then you want to hold it down. And the reason I'm using paper underneath it is because whatever we didn't cut off will leave the residue. So you don't want that gunk all over your ironing board, because it will be well stuck on there, and you don't want to iron over it, because then it'll get stuck on your iron and get burnt to shit. And that's not fun. You don't want to ruin your iron. So for some reason my iron doesn't get as hot as I would like, or as even, so I normally just, I don't even know if that was 6 seconds or whatever. And then it feels like it's pretty stuck on there. So this was just our template, and then see, there's like a sticky residue left behind. That would be on your ironing board if you didn't have this underneath it. Just something that I've learned over time. And it looks like, okay, let's see if it'll peel off. Because once it's ready, it peels right off the backing with no trouble. You can see just coming off. So, and there's our little applique. And then I'm going to trim the little extra bits off, because that will stay on the finished product as far as I know. But probably going to do that off camera because it's boring. But yeah. And then I need to figure out if I'm going to paint onto it or not. And then I'm going to sew around the edges when it's actually on there. Where's the front? Oh, here's the front of the bag. Here's the front of the bag. So, just gotta figure out the placement. And then, as soon as you need to put it on there, I might put it in the middle. I don't know. Put it off to the side. And I don't know. Hard to tell which side I want. I don't know. It's too hard. Maybe in the middle? I don't know. And then as soon as you picked your placement, then you hold down the iron and then you iron it on. And then I like to sew around it once it's ironed on. But here, I'll show you my template. Kinda. Excuse my horrible drawing skills. But see, I was trying to play with the design. This is her poorly drawn bow with it. Yeah, so. And then I wanted to play with the, her little emblem. And then I want to do her staff on the bag somewhere. I don't know if I want it on the front or back or whatever, but I'm probably going to paint that on. And then I was just kind of playing with the layout of the design. But once I figure out exactly how I want it, I might pull up more reference photos. But then I'll just assemble it on and it'll be ready to go. I can't decide. I might come back and play with it a little bit. I might do a mock-up too, just to see how I like it. Just to kind of see. Yeah. So I'll come back and do that. And then I'll show you what I come up with.